Scottish Bee Company is a family-run business based in Edinburgh, founded out of a passion to help the declining pollinator population in the UK. We do this by reinvesting in bee breeding in hives and providing wildflower seeds with orders to encourage more pollination spaces. The global bee population is dwindling due to a loss of natural spaces they require to thrive, and this is due to urbanisation, intensive agriculture, the use of toxic pesticides, and of course, climate change. To deliver environmental and social value, the Scottish Bee Company set up a sister charity called Repollinate, which receives 10p from every jar we sell to help build more wildflower spaces. Repollinate's purpose is to collaborate with organisations to restore natural wildlife, to educate the public, to engage the government, and to support scientific research. Pollination is a fundamental process for the survival of our ecosystem. It's been estimated that more than 3/4 of the leading type of global food crop rely to some extent on bees and other pollinators. However, climate change is having an astronomical effect on our world and its many species. The less predictable weather patterns is leading to pollinators losing synchronicity with the flowering plants that they forage on. A diverse range of pollinators with different characteristics and responses to ambient conditions is one of the best ways to minimise the risks associated with climate change. Their diversity ensures that we have effective pollinators to handle current conditions as well as future conditions. Bees are key to conserving biodiversity. The Scottish Bee Company would like to see constant vigilance on the emergency use of neonicotinoids, as well as the systemic shift needed from large corporations, governments, and regulating bodies for carbon neutrality practices and climate resilient developments. This can be encouraged by strategic measures such as monetary incentives to help facilitate this change. Our dream is to strengthen measures aimed at protecting bees and other pollinators. This would include stricter regulations and enforcements around pesticide use and less intensive farming, more green urban spaces through innovative and accessible solutions to wildflower spaces in built-up cities, and just general improvements in quality habitats and biodiversity. Farmers and policymakers have a big role to play in safeguarding our pollinators, but there's lots we can do too. Pollinators improve our diets by providing micronutrient-rich foods, so return the favour. Give bees food they like by building and growing honeybee-friendly habitats in your garden and local outdoor spaces. Bees work really hard to make honey, so purchase pure, locally sourced honey to support the bee population in managed hives. And finally, you can sponsor a hive. The UK presidency of COP26 is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to highlight the urgent actions required to tackle climate change and biodiversity loss. The climate and biodiversity emergencies are set to become more extreme unless we act now, act together, and act at scale. The Scottish Bee Company backs calls for ambitious national biodiversity strategic action plans to form the basis for sustainable, inclusive, and resilient recoveries. We strongly back calls on all developed countries and climate finance providers, public and private, to act to increase their financing of nature and nature-based solutions. Closer to home, we call on the Scottish Government to deliver on the commitment in their 2017 to 2027 pollinator strategy to support local bee-based industries. In Scotland, the economic value of pollinators is in the region of £43 million a year for agricultural and horticultural crops and honey. However, because bees pollinate other farmers' crops, bee farmers do not generally own or lease land themselves, a requirement to access agricultural subsidy. Therefore, bee farming, although a vital support for others, is not itself well-resourced and remains risky, uncertain and small-scale. Subsidy funding similar to other agricultural sectors would enable the industry to attract new entrants by establishing enhanced training schemes, taking some risk off the table, and allow existing bee farmers to restore hive numbers to the levels required to support the pollination of foodstuffs and biofuels while sustaining biodiversity.